Hey, you are welcome to HisGov TV, and my name is Colin Nanaya Abebrese. In this video, I have put together a very short documentary about the origin of the Bantu or the Bantu people in general. And so we will watch that video very shortly. But then, before we watch the video, I would like to just introduce the Bantu to you before you watch the video. Now, the word Bantu means people, okay, and that's the plural of the word Muntu. All right, now Muntu is the singular, so a person, and then a Bantu is what is, of course, plural. Now, today in Africa, the Bantu are found in Central Africa, Eastern Africa, South Africa as well, and they are the majority of these tribes. They can be found in all these places. Now, the term is used to apply to over 400 of course languages that we call the Bantu languages. Some of these languages are the Luganda language spoken in Uganda, the Kikuyu spoken in Kenya, the Kiswahili spoken in Tanzania, as well as the Shona spoken in Zimbabwe. And the Bantus are found in all these countries. Now, there has been so much, debate concerning the origin of the Bantu-speaking people, and I have done some videos where I've had people commenting with different traditions of origin regarding the Bantu people, where they actually came from. But these traditions are mainly from oral traditions, and that is one of the features of oral traditions. You will not get one tradition which sufficiently explains all the issues, of course, surrounding a particular group of people. And basically, these people lived in the prehistoric age, and so it poses a whole lot of difficulty in trying to find out the origin. But then, if you read many books, they tell you that the knowledge of the Bantu origin, comes from a linguistic evidence, basically looking at or studying the languages of course, some group of people in Africa. And as I have already indicated, the Bantu is used to refer to almost 400 languages in Africa. So I'm sure that people try to trace the origin of these languages. So according to Joseph Greenberg, he says that the Bantu came from the south of the middle, of the Benue River, of the Benue River Valley in eastern Nigeria, and that he believes was the original home of the Bantu around the Nigerian area, eastern part of Nigeria. And I know that there may be other oral traditions which may negate this tradition or findings, and I'll be very glad that you share with us in the comment section if you have any of such different origin of migration of the Bantu. And so the original ancestors of the Bantu are called Proto-Bantu, and according to Greenberg, it was from that origin, the middle Benue River Valley in eastern Nigeria, that area. From there, the Proto-Bantu, the ancestors of the Bantu, then migrated to settle, to spread or to disperse to other parts of Africa.
The Bantu migration from their origins in southern West Africa saw a gradual population movement sweep through the central, eastern, and southern parts of the continent, starting in the mid-2nd millennium BCE and finally ending before 1500 CE. With them, the Bantu brought new technologies and skills such as cultivating high-yield crops and iron working, which produced more efficient tools and weapons. Eventually, the Bantu dominated, with the exception of South Africa and the Namibian desert, all of the African continent south of a line crossing from southern Nigeria to Kenya. In all, some 500 languages spoken today in that vast area are derived from the Proto-Bantu language. Although most historians would agree on the general occurrence of the Bantu migrations across Africa, the precise timings, motivations, routes, and consequences are all still being debated. The Bantu were agriculturalists who spoke various dialects of the Bantu language. Their heartland was the savanna and rainforest regions around the Niger River of southern West Africa, modern Nigeria, Cameroon, and Gabon. Using both stone and iron tools, they successfully grew crops such as millet, sorghum, dry rice, beans, oil palms, and melons, although they did so at a subsistence level, that is, they grew only sufficient crops to meet their own needs. They had the technology to create iron from iron ore, but where this came from is not known except that the three most likely possibles are: the knowledge was introduced by the Phoenicians in the north, the Egyptians or Kushites in the east, or it was acquired locally and independently. The Bantu people's iron tools improved agricultural yields and their iron weapons made them formidable military opponents. They were also hunters, animal herders, goats, sheep, and cattle, potters, weavers and traders, exchanging such goods as salt, copper, and iron ore for those things they needed. During the 2nd millennium BCE, small population groups of Bantu began to migrate into Central Africa and then across to the Great Lakes region of East Africa. This movement can be traced by the study of linguistics, a technique known as lexicostatistics, an observation of the relative closeness of local languages to each other and the language originally spoken by the Bantu people of the Niger River Delta, Proto-Bantu. At the same time, one should be cautious with such studies as the passage of a language may not necessarily reflect the migration of its speakers. The same might be said of cultural practices and technologies. Causes of the Bantu migration. Historians suggest the reason for the Bantu migration may be any one or more of the following: exhaustion of local resources, agricultural land, grazing lands, and forests; overpopulation, famine, epidemics, increased competition for local resources, warfare between rival tribes or as a consequence of succession disputes, climate change affecting crops, a spirit of adventure. It was the Bantu people who founded the coastal settlements of East Africa, what would become, with the addition of Muslim traders from Arabia and Persia from the 7th century CE, the Swahili coast. From southern West Africa, the West Bantu, and the Great Rift Valley of East Africa, the East Bantu, two streams of Bantu peoples then moved further south in a second wave of migration which occurred during the 1st millennium BCE. A third wave of migration, in the first half of the 1st millennium CE, then took place as the East Bantu peoples moved even further south into what is today Zimbabwe, Botswana, Mozambique, and eastern South Africa. The Bantu shared their knowledge of iron smelting, pottery making, and their farming skills with indigenous forager and nomadic tribes they met, many of whom eventually then settled into stable village communities. Bantu dialects and aspects of Bantu culture were adopted, although the migrants, it is important to note, also learnt from the indigenous peoples, especially in areas like the cultivation of some grain crops or fishing techniques which had been perfected over centuries to get the best from the specific local environmental conditions. As the peoples the Bantu came across were still in the Stone Age in terms of weapons and technology, the iron-weaponed migrants with their specialized warrior caste had little trouble imposing themselves wherever they went. Their superior technology also encouraged local peoples to accept Bantu leadership. Some groups did resist this wave of Bantu culture, such as the Pygmies, who retreated to the depths of the Central Africa rainforests, or the groups of savanna hunter-gatherers, the San, who likewise retreated to the inhospitable and less accessible environment of the Kalahari Desert.
Yeah, so that is the video on the Bantu. I hope you enjoyed it or you liked it. Let me hear your view in the comment section concerning the origin and migration of the Bantu. And I also want to hear my Bantu people as well, because we are all one Africa. You know, we are helping, we are steadying our subs. So yeah, I want to hear my Bantu speaking people. Let's hear your views in the comment section about the origin of your ancestors, and I'll be very glad to read and add into my archives. But for now, this is what I have for you, and do not forget to subscribe to our channel for more of these educative contents. Have a nice day.